Today we will look at the HQ units from the Thousans Sons Legion. They have been long overdue on this channel. Ahriman for sure is the most prominent one of these characters, so I could not miss his rendition from the Horus Heresy. But he is not alone. We have Magistus Amon, also known as Ben Kingsley, the Librarian Consul and his elaborate armor, and finally a Terminator Praetor in a very elaborate cataphractii Terminator armor. They are the ideal people to join the segments we reviewed a while ago. Let's see if they are really worth. I have no particular preference, but let's start with Ahriman. The box is pretty conventional, and Ahriman arrives with his trademark staff and a few hands. Nothing else but his personal coolness to impress us. The armor color is made of the same plastic with metallic bleeds that we have seen for segments, but he has plenty of ornaments and inscriptions that break the monotony of that color, and remove the toyish appearance. I think that Thousans Sons figures in general are the only characters where the lack of highlights and shading is not an issue, at least for me. I especially like the hieroglyph-like iconography here and there, even if the cape is nothing special on the outside and in the painting, but he has a cool shape that will fit any wizard-like posing. And being a wizard also means that he has a lot of scrolls in case he runs out of memorized enchantments. The helmet is also quite neat. This crisp paint job really suits them in combination with the gold inserts and the overall Egyptian look. Sadly, despite not suffering of any scale creep, the pauldrons still use the old style with the plastic strips, so it is a far cry from what we have seen with the Black Legionnaires a while ago. Not many problems for the arms, even if that armor part overlapping with the hands could limit some movements. The legs also will be a bit limited by all these decorations and soft plastic dressing. Nothing terrible for your favorite wizard, but don't ask him to participate to any Olympic Games. Definitely he is sacrificing the grit mobility for the coolness factor, and I have not much to complain about it. Hopefully we are finally moving towards all figures having the new pauldrons design. And what we have got with Ahriman is the prototype son of Magnus, with his wizard-like appearance in that shiny red armor, and the warp-imbued magic staff, and finally the general aura of a great sorcerer thirsty for knowledge. And we will know how this will end. Probably some special effects should have been included in the packaging. In most cases he looks like he's saluting people or holding staffs. But jokes aside, he will look great together with other Thousans Sons engaging the space wolves in the desperate attempt to save their home planet, Prospero. But of course, he cannot do this alone, and when calling for help, the first to answer will be the Legion Praetor in cataphractii armor, because I have a weak spot for this kind of Terminator armor. It is enriched by plenty of decorations and more wizard-like pieces like these green sleeves and gauntlet-like forearms. Then we have these two long chains of decorations on the front and fortunately nothing else on the legs. This is because these decorations put some limitations on the way shoulders can freely move. Even the horizontal raise is limited and not being on par with the other segments, at least from an articulation point of view. But Thousans Sons Terminators look like they are a perfect match. The Praetor just blend with them, but with a richer look. The helmet is also in the same style as the other segments, but slightly different. I like it, even if the lack of that metal protection on the bottom between the torso and the hood makes the entire head look smaller. I think that this helmet design is one of my favorite in terms of look among all cataphractii Terminators. Not much to say for the legs, they are pretty much in line with the other cataphractii Terminators, just watch out for the capes and the decorations. And this rich battle mage panoply of war is a common trend across all of these Thousans Sons, Amon being no exception. He has no helmeted option or fire weapon, so what you see is what you get. I love the expression of superiority, probably captured when looking at those savage space wolves. The armor design is quite unique, the asymmetric pauldron design is particularly evident, but again we are dealing with the older pauldron design, so the horizontal raise is quite limited. The red-green-white coloring with gold decorations gives these Thousans Sons an even more unique look. It is something that you either love or hate. Personally, I enjoy it. They may look like Santa Claus, but on the shelves they hold their own. He also has, like Ahriman, some scrolls hidden behind the back, and the legs can move quite easily. It is not a problem to pose him while running or just standing with unmistakable stuff. Finally, let's see what the nerd of the group can tell us, the Librarian Consul. He has both head options and it continues the tradition of rich garments to adorn his battle armor. I love his helmet. It is similar in style to Ahriman's, but with more curated paint job. Very nice. The torso design is quite high, giving the impression that he has no neck, and the head looks quite encased between the shoulders. The bare head is well made, and it will be a nice option if not for the presence of the awesome helmet. I will keep it for future uses, but my battle mage will go around with his awesome helmet. Our console is another case of old pauldron design, which together with a bulky torso limits the articulation of the arms, but not enough for making him unable to properly wield his staff and amulet. Legs are less impeded, so he can walk, run or just stand, more or less like any other figures of similar design. All of these guys have really nice capes, with different colors, but great, even regal look. They are lovely. I mentioned their weapons, but essentially we have different sizes for the magic stuff for each one, and of course different designs, but just slightly. From Amon to the Legion Praetor, who was the biggest one in line with his armor bulkiness, and finally the Librarian Consul, who has the most witchy design of them all in my opinion. And the cataphractii Praetor is the only one going around with a Stormbolter too, if you like to provide him with some fire support. Thousans Sons from the Horus Heresy are some of my favorite figures so far, even if I don't like the Grand Troops, too much looking like gummy bears with bolters. These sorcerers, instead, are awesome, and I think JOYTOY has done a great work in balancing the red metallish plastic with a plentiful of decorations. And it's also true that these are porting of the original designs from Gamesworkshop, yet the final products are astonishing for me. They look exactly how some 30k sorcerer would look like, and they are greatly matching the artwork around. The only issues I can find are the limited articulations for the pauldrons, but we are talking of figures introduced last year that I'm reviewing just now. From all other aspects, they are definitely a must for Thousans Sons fans. Compared to Tigurius, the Ultramarine Chief Librarians, they surely look more impressive, even if they lack his cool banner. Ahriman for sure is quite tall, even compared to the cataphractii Praetor. And even the Sorcerer Lord from the 40k setting is quite humbled by the comparison with his colleagues from a bygone era. Our Thousans Sons are giving him a run for his money, and even the new Ultramarines Librarian Terminator has found his match with the cataphractii Praetor, who definitely needs to have a couple of his fellow Terminators to accompany him for increased badassery. And if they are not tall as them, they are quite comparable to the newer Space Marine 2 inspired figures like Brother Chiron. I'm waiting for the bluish successors from the same license. We are now at the end, and it is time to wrap the review up. The figures have an awesome look, a good variety among them, and they blend nicely with the Thousans Sons army, like for example the segment Terminators. If I had to rank them, I will place Ahriman and the Librarian Consul on top. The Legion Praetor and Amon are not bad at all, but they are not the same level. The Librarian Consul, for example, is the richest in terms of accessories, even if he has not the same aura as Ahriman has. Ahriman is definitely on top in my personal ranking. Amon instead looks like more of a duplicate of Ahriman himself, but without his charisma, at least not for me. Their engineering is old school, like the pauldron designs, but they look like top quality figures. So if you can live without your figures being able to impersonate X-Men in your dioramas, I think that this will be a great set to pick, either fully or partially. Having said that, I wish you a nice rest of the day trying to solve the issues with the flesh change that may affect your shelves.